Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Etep from Wrestling with Horror, right here with you. Monday, folks, we've got a big week planned here. Halloween H2O. That's right, I'm going to be covering that in depth. That'll drop later in the week, but I got to keep you guys entertained until then. And what better way than to talk about my favorite horror franchise, Friday the 13th, and possibly the worst entry into the mythos, the entire 12-film series. That's right, folks. We're going to talk about that and much, much more with Friday the 13th coming up right on the other side.
No matter what you do, the darkest side of the night burns like a fire for the wasted life.
The Friday the 13th film that almost killed the franchise, and I wonder if I button hooked anybody, if I swerved anybody, bro.
Don't use bro.
With that intro, using the darkest side of the night, wearing my Jason Takes Manhattan Japanese hoodie. Yes, it is pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. I ordered it on accident. All I saw was the design on the front, and I didn't really look at the lettering, and I was a little tired, we'll say, and I ordered it. And I do not regret it. This is a dope hoodie. But regardless, no. Jason Takes Manhattan, not the worst film in the franchise. I feel like Yoda.
No, there is enough.
Wait, hang on. What? Wait, fucking producer. Hang on. Yeah.
Terp, look, I told you I was hiring somebody else. You're not the only one.
I'm in the middle of a shoot, Ricky. We can't do this right now.
You always talk about you got a whole team. You don't never give us credit behind the scenes, you dick.
No, you're the only producer. I keep telling you that.
We'll get back to the video when I'm good and ready to get back to the video. Don't sit here and argue with me. Me and Billy Bob here got this shit on lock, son.
Look, Ricky, I don't have the time. I want this video to be under 10. Jesus Christ.
That's right. You'll get back to, God damn it, listen. We'll get back to the video. These people will wait for you. They love you, they'll wait. We gotta hash this out. Now stay focused on the video. Okay. Billy says, you need to enunciate your lines better, sir. You sound all mush-mouthed. Ain't that right, Billy Ray?
Yep.
Can I please get back to recording?
I'm back on the baby now.
The Friday the 13th universe is a beloved slasher series, originally from the 1980s, but one installment over 20 years after the original movie almost killed the franchise. There are 12 movies in the Friday the 13th franchise, though some are loosely related in different timelines and universes. While the hockey mask killer Jason Voorhees has become a beloved horror character, some of the later movies aren't quite as people expected. In fact, many of the later slasher era films are considered so bad it's good horror movies, exploring the already well-worn tropes. And folks, I can unequivocally tell you this. The Friday the 13th franchise for me stops at Jason Takes Manhattan. That's it. That's the definitive end. Anything else after that is fan fiction. The Friday the 13th 2009 reboot, though, as I've said many times over, I've softened on that film because it is actually quite enjoyable once I put all the other bullshit aside and just took it for what it was. It's an enjoyable slasher. Very aggressive kills, very good portrayal of Jason. But let's talk about the film that almost ended the franchise. They had to make this one while they were waiting for Freddy vs. Jason. I'm pretty sure you guys already know what I'm talking about since it's not in the Paramount 8. It's not Freddy vs. Jason. It's not 2009. It's not even that abortion that I saw in the theater, Jason Goes to Hell. No, folks. Today, we are discussing none other Jason X isn't like any other Friday the 13th movie and nearly killed the franchise. Whew, yeah, that is a understatement. I was just watching clips as I made this video this morning, and recording footage to show you guys. And having met Kane Hodder, man, I wish I would have had more time to discuss Jason X with him, because there's so many questions I had that I probably will never get answered now unless I can somehow, communicate with him. But I wanted to talk to him about Canon Films stuff because he was in those when we met. So, yeah, he was very impressed, and my entire family was Friday the 13th fans, though, which was cool. Very, very down-to-earth, nice guy that I had the absolute pleasure to meet. Meeting him and Tom Savini in the same year was, it was a great experience. Savini is another the man's a treasure when it comes to his contributions to the horror genre, the zombies, special effects. I mean, everything. Tom Savini's the man. Kane Hodder, the definitive Jason. But let's get back into the article. I could talk about Friday the 13th until the cows come home. Jason X recycles the same villainous plot lines as the rest of the series, but with a gimmick, adding that Kane Hodder's Jason Voorhees is now a cyborg instead of an undead serial killer. In the movie, Jason is cryogenically frozen for over 445 years and wakes up on a spaceship in 2455. The concept was a turn for the series that it was ridiculed by many audiences at the time, deterring the dedicated franchise fans. The project was a major departure from the typical that no more direct sequels to the film were made. Jason X has a mere 20% on Rotten Tomatoes and received mostly negative reviews at the time of its release. This in contrast, the original movie, which is also the franchise's highest rated installment at 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, Jason X underperformed at the box office, grossing only $17 million on an $11 million budget. Since its initial release, Jason X has received a bit of a reassessment, especially from newer audiences who are now assessing the franchise as a whole rewatchable series instead of in-timed release installments to see in theaters. Yeah, this movie, seeing this in the theater, I just remember feeling some type of way, just sheer and utter disappointment. And I don't know what I expected from this, but especially after seeing the trailers, which are on the Scream Factory DVD box set, which I got for Christmas a couple of years ago, and they are in all their analog beauty. I remember watching with my son, and he was asking me why the picture looked like that. And I'm like, well, this is analog television. This is before digital. So this is how it was. And yeah, it was just a very cool experience because I've shown him all these movies, sans Part 5. He hasn't seen Part 5. He hasn't seen Freddy vs. Jason. And we haven't watched Jason Goes to Hell, so 3 of them. Because he's not been exposed to Freddy Krueger other than trailers and clips. I was younger than him when I saw my first Freddy, but you learn to, read the room, basically, as far as what to show your kids. And, he loves the older horror movies, especially Friday the 13th and Halloween, because he knows my affinity for those two characters. And he's developed his own, and he's went as Freddy for Halloween, which was very cool. So, yeah, this one, though, a departure, as I kind of went off on a side tangent there. I apologize for that. But I have a connection, basically a lifelong connection to this franchise, just because of my fandom. My first tattoo was a microphone and a hockey mask. Big shout out to Nelson the Psychopath. I'm still waiting. I got to get my shoulder piece done. I'm getting Pinhead all down my arm from Hellraiser. I love horror. I do. And I hated what they did to this movie. I hated what they did to the franchise after they went to New Line. And I said a couple of years after, when I heard New Line bought it, I was, 12, 13 years old. And I just remember knowing that New Line was where, they were the people that brought you the Freddy Krueger movies. And, being a kid, you're like a teenager, you're like, oh, this could be cool, because every kid, horror geeks like me, were like, Freddy vs. Jason, Jason vs. Michael Myers, Freddy vs. Michael, and all these other horror icons, facing off. And looking back now, it's like, oh, you sweet summer child. You didn't realize now that New Line Cinema was in no way equipped to properly bring Jason to the screen. The house that Freddy built is not Paramount. They never will be. They had no idea what they were doing with Jason. And this is another reason why my, hardline stance against the 2009 film is softened, because the 3 New Line films are, was it 3? Yeah, 3. 4? Well, let's see, we had Jason X, or Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, Freddy vs. Yeah, 3 from New Line. They were bad. They were bad. The worst of those, honestly, I can't believe that Jason Goes to Hell is not rated the worst. But let's get back to the article again, side tangent. How Jason X turned into a Friday the 13th comedy sequel. The movie added jokes and comical kills. See, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, director Tom McLaughlin wanted to take a more meta and humorous approach to that movie, and he did, and it worked because they never made fun of Jason. They never made Jason look like a joke. This movie inadvertently did that. Uber Jason, or whatever he's called.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Like, even watching the clips for this morning, I'm like, yeah, I could get high and watch this movie and enjoy it and laugh through it. But taking this as a serious, it'll never be a serious entry. Anything past Part 8 is just dead in the water to me outside of 2009. I don't care about these movies. They're, like I said, I could watch this. I haven't even watched Freddy vs. Jason in it's been at least 5 years. At the very bare minimum since I've seen that. Much, much longer for Jason Goes to Hell. Jason X, I watched. That was the first movie I watched out of the box set because my son Trey wanted to watch that. He's like, Jason in space? I'm like, yeah, bud, this was the last, of the solo Jason movies until the reboot. So I explained it to him, and we watched it, and he enjoyed it. He had a good time with it because it was goofy and funny. But he likes, he's kind of like me. He likes Part 6 just because I think that's, he hasn't just sat down and watched them by himself per se. The only one he did was Part 4, but I still have to kind of monitor it because there's nudity in all of them except Part 6. So I don't let my 9-year-old see that. I still make him close his eyes or I fast forward it. So, yeah, Jason X turned into a comedy. When it originally released, Jason X was taken more seriously, following the intense themes of the other movies. However, at its heart, Jason X is comical, poking fun at the absurd direction the franchise took over the past 21 years. Jason's kills have become wildly more inventive and almost humorous, such as a character having her face frozen and smashed. There are also more overt jokes, which have become a staple of later-era slasher films, who understood many of the tropes now had to be subverted to be entertaining. There were also more overt jokes and blatant line reads that Jason X writing and filmmaking were more aware of, the slasher movie tropes. Jason X had to stand out since the genre was so diluted with other slasher content. The movie was willing to break the standard conventions, adding jokes that would be out of place in other movies. The Friday the 13th franchise had become too self-aware at this point and couldn't help but poke fun at themselves, forever changing the tone of the beloved original series. New Line had no idea what they were doing with Jason. This movie was a placeholder until they could make Freddy vs. Jason, and it got delayed a year in release, which didn't do it any favors as a lot of the effects had aged very poorly. And early 2000s, late 90s CG, depending on the movie, isn't the best. It doesn't hold up the best. Some movies do. Event Horizon, the effects in that hold up beautifully. But no, this Friday the 13th needs to rely on practicals, and all the CG in this it looks very Sci-Fi Channel. Even the clips that I watched in 4K look very Sci-Fi Channel. But that is the movie that almost killed the franchise. No, not Jason Takes Manhattan. Even with a wall of toxic waste washing through the New York City subways every night, that's not enough to kill this franchise. Not Jason turning back into a boy as a result of that. Not Imitation Carrie, all respect to Lara Park Lincoln because I do love her character. Really, I do. New blood has grown on me on the last couple of years. And I love Tina. She was fantastic, So Friday the 13th has had amazing final girls. They've had fantastic entries into the series. I don't give a shit. The Paramount 8 are all that matters. They're all that will matter to me. and I will never tire of watching these movies. Anything after that is just noise. That's all it is, folks. But now it's your turn. Let me know what you think in the
Terrible.
Again, I'm trying to wrap the video.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, folks. Make sure you subscribe. Ding the bell for notifications. Turn that subscribe button gray. Do it. Channel memberships are available, $2.99, $4.99 if you're interested. Patreon, $2 a month to become a Brainbuster. You can access exclusive commentaries over there and much, much more. Show after the shows. If not, just subscribe. It's free. It always will be. I'm Etep from Wrestling with Horror. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. I will catch you on the next one. Remember, it's always better to burn out than fade away.